Hello my loves, if you're new here, my name is Lily. I am an anxious girl who loves to read. And if you're not new here, then welcome back. This is the start of my September reading vlog, which is like I'm reading my September TBR and I'm vlogging it for you guys. And I already started my TBR on the 1st of September. Today is the 3rd of September, so we're a couple of days into the month and I finished my first book off of my TBR and I didn't vlog it for you guys, which was a mistake on my part, but I was still a little bit sick, so that's my excuse. But we're gonna kick off this video with a review of the book that I've already read, and we are starting off extremely strong because I picked up Beautiful Things by Emily Rath, and oh my god, the first day on the 1st of September that I started reading this, I read 273 pages in just a span of like 2.5–3 hours. I consumed this so fast. It's a white shoes because it's Emily Rath and she most of the time writes white shoes. This woman can write Regency era books better than like the Bridgerton series. Like, hello? Why aren't more people talking about this? Why aren't more people obsessed with this? We have the bastard son of some guy, but he's a bastard. We have the second son of a duchess, and then we have a second son who is a, I was about to say a pirate, but he's most definitely not a pirate, but he's in like the military, but he's a naval on boats. I can't remember what it's called, but he's looking to be elevated and receive a captaincy. And then we have our main female character, who is a poor woman of no real standing, but she has been invited to Alcott Hall to stay with the Duchess because once upon a time the Duchess and our main female character's mother were very, very good friends, like best friends. And upon the invitation of the Duchess, now that her mother is dead, she's going to stay at Alcott Hall, but it appears she receives some information that the Duchess have ulterior motives. And she's not a woman looking to marry, she does not want to be caged, but then she's drawn to not one, not two, but 3 of the men that are residing at Alcott Hall. And just the drama, the tension, the banter, you know that like, because it's set in the Regency era, we have a superior slow burn where it's like every glance, every tiny little blush, every time their eyes meet, every little brush of their fingers, it's all very secret, very small things, but it affects you so much and it gives so much. And I squealed out loud at so many moments reading this book. I thought this was a standalone. It's not. There's a second book. I've already ordered it, but it doesn't come out until the end of October. At least a copy of it that I want that's as beautiful as this. So I have to wait. I won't be receiving it until like November, so I have to wait for the next book, which I'm gonna cry myself to sleep. The wittiness, the banter, the way that these 3 men are so different to each other, but they are all really close friends who kind of grew up with each other. So there's that tension that arises between the 3 of them because they are lusting after the same person, and then it's all like the social politics of this time and just being a woman in this time and the challenges that comes with that. And just there was so much depth to this amongst all of the fun, witty, bantering, longing, journeying, like the journeying, like this was giving, you are the bane of my existence and the object of all my desires. And it was giving, you know, Queen Charlotte, like with whatever his name is, George, with George, when they are standing and fighting and he's like, go, and she's like, I will not go, do you love me? And he's like, I love you. It's giving that. That was a very poor reenactment. I butchered that. I apologize to any Bridgerton stan. Can you tell that I'm obsessed with this book? 5 stars. The next book that I will be jumping into today, because I finished Beautiful Things yesterday, so I've had not 24 hours, but a couple of hours before I jump into the next book, just to like cleanse my palette. And the next book, I'm so excited for it. It's a thick one though, but that's, hello. Why do I keep hitting my shin with these books? The Raven Scholar. I thought this was Dark Academia, just based off of the title, but I filmed a different video where I talked about this book, which was my, it's gonna come up before this one, so it's already up by the time you're watching this, but where I talked about my personal autumn TBR, my physical autumn TBR, the books I want to read in autumn, however you want to phrase it, because based off of the title, I thought this was Dark Academia, but it's just straight up fantasy, it seems like, because it's about a throne destroying an empire. It begins with murder. Someone on a throne has to bring his reign to an end, and 7 contenders will compete to replace him. And they are rivals, and they are inspired by sacred animals, and just, you know, trials, magic, murder, autumn. That equals autumn. So, you know, I'm really excited for this. This sounds like a book that's right up my alley. I don't have that much more to say. I haven't started it yet, but I will be jumping into it in just a minute. So let's read. I'm going to extremely quickly add a little clip to this video. I know it's darker, I apologize, but I just received the package that I said that I was waiting for, and it's one of my fall books that I pre-ordered because it was just released, but it's a book for my autumn TBR. It's also, oh my god, that's tiny. I did not think it was going to be that tiny. It's a watercolor journal as well. I thought that was going to be bigger. Anyways, that's fine. I did not think this was going to be that thick, but it's If It Makes You Happy by Julie Olivia, and it's Gilmore Girls inspired, I believe, and I do think it plays out throughout the fall seasons. Yeah, look at that. That is gorgeous. I'm gonna put in a clip of this cover where I'm filming it in better light. It's been 2 days since I spoke with you guys. Today is the 5th of September, and I am like a little over 140 pages into The Raven Scholar. I'm 145 pages into this, and I don't know how I'm going to get through over 600 pages of this. I downloaded it on my Kindle in case that was going to help me get through it faster. It definitely helped me keep my attention better than when I was reading it physically. Normally I love big pockets, but for some reason, just because this isn't keeping my attention, the physical copy didn't help. The ebook helped keep my attention more. And I loved where this was going in the beginning, and then because I liked the main character and like her background, but then it turned out that she wasn't the main character, at least not for the entirety of the story, because we swapped main characters because of something that happened to the POV that started the story, and I just couldn't really connect or get close to the new FMC. And it's also just like, there's a lot of history in this, like a lot of history about this world in this, and it's just sometimes I had to reread passages because I was like, oh, this is in the past. This is like they're telling us about how this law or this object or this thing that they mentioned came to be, and now we need the entire backstory of that thing before we can continue with the actual story. And I just feel like that takes me out of the book every time that happens, and it's happened quite a lot, and it's long passages of just like the history of this law or this object or whatever it was that they spoke about in the present in the book. and then we have to get the backstory of that object or that law or whatever it is, like a couple of 100 years ago or something, and then we're back in the present and the scene continues, and that just kind of takes me out of the story. Or it doesn't it does take me out of the story. And that coupled with, like, we have very little dialogue, very much monologue, but it's also, it's monologue, it's observations, it's history, and it's just, I'm not invested. I want to get closer to the characters. I want more of the characters. I want more of what is actually happening in the present, but there's a lot of like waffling around before it feels like we're getting to the actual story. Like, I'm 145 pages in and I still feel like the story hasn't really started. I feel like we're still getting just a bunch of information that we may or may not eventually need later in the story, but it's just, it feels like I'm wading through mud and I'm not getting anywhere in the story. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be DNFing this. I rarely DNF books because I hate not finishing things, but life is short and I don't want to spend a bunch of time on something that I don't like, especially like if this was, stop it, if this was like 300 pages long, I would continue it right now because then it's like, it's not that much time, but this is double that and a little bit more, and I want to pick up something else. I might pick this up again after I've had a break with a different book, but then again I might not. I'm not sure, we'll see. I was going to film an update when it was light out, but then my mother called and it's getting dark really quickly here in Sweden at the minute, so the light is gone. But I spent the afternoon colouring my hair. I don't know how much of a difference you can see in this lighting, but I'll probably film something tomorrow, and I'm gonna do my makeup tomorrow as well, just to like see the whole vision. But I spent like 4 hours doing my hair, so that's been my afternoon. I have food in the oven. I'm going to eat this minute it's done, and then I'm just basically going to spend the rest of my evening reading, and I'll probably finish Rewitched because I'm a little over halfway. I'm like 200 something pages and it's a little over 400 pages, but I read like 200, almost 200 pages just yesterday, because the first day I couldn't really get into it. I was really tired in the evening, so I only read like 60 pages or something, and that must mean that yesterday I read like, oh math, I can't do math, 150, okay, so not 200, it felt like 200, but like 150, 160 pages, I can't do math, but something like that. And I fly through them. Like, the book really got going. It's not that the beginning was slow, but it's always like, you know, in the beginning of the book where you like need to get a sense of where you are, even though it's set in London, which I love. It's also set in this super cozy little bookstore that I absolutely adore. She is a witch living amongst normal people, and she needs to hide the fact that she's a witch, so she performs like little everyday spells that no one's going to notice, but otherwise she's basically hiding the fact that she's a witch. And then one day a tall, handsome man in glasses comes into her bookshop and asks for a magical book, and she's like, he's a witch, what does he want? And he has been sent from their coven to summon her, and things really get going from there. And I love that it's a little bit rare for me, especially because I'm 24, so I usually read protagonists who are younger than me or about the same age as me. She turns 30 in the beginning of this book, and I kind of love reading about someone who is older than me but who also doesn't have every single aspect of her life in order. Like, she still has internal things that she's dealing with, internal fears and anxieties and just what ifs about the future, and it's kind of reassuring to be like, I love this main character, I love her life, she doesn't have it all together even at 30, so why do I feel like I need to have every single thing together at 24? She also has magic, and I feel like if I were a witch, many parts of my life would be more organized than they are without magic. It's definitely focusing more on her journey than there is romance, but there's like a sprinkle of a hint of like something might be going on between some of the characters. But I really love how cozy this is. I love that there are high stakes but they're kind of whimsical, and I love how witty it is, and like the magic is so fun. The aspects of the magic and whenever it's used is so funny. Some of the characters that she meets a little bit into the book after things have really gotten going are just really eccentric and whimsical, and it's just so fun. It's really funny. Like, I found myself like grinning and even laughing out loud in certain spots, so I am definitely enjoying this. This was a breath of fresh air compared to The Raven Scholar. My new hair. I think it turned out great. I know that there are some spots where the color didn't really take, or maybe I just didn't cover it enough, but I feel like since that color is ginger already, it kind of melts in and looks a little bit like highlights, hopefully. But my mum will look at it and she's gonna check it and go through and see if it's too clear that not everything has been colored, because I do have a second package of colorings, and then we're going to color the pieces that it didn't really take on again and see if that works, if it's needed. But from what she's seen so far, she doesn't think that's necessary, so hopefully. But it's not really that light out today, so maybe when we get really good like sunlight on it, she might see more clearly, because it's really cloudy today. But we'll see. I like it from what I've seen so far. But as you can see, since the book is in my bookshelves now, I finished Bewitched yesterday and I had a great time with this. I think this was such a cozy read. I had so much fun reading it. Like, as I said in a previous clip probably, it was so whimsical and witty, and the cute slow burn romance and the internal struggles of this 30-year-old and just the magical aspects. It was magical. I had a magical time. I absolutely adored this, and I ended up giving it 4 stars. I will definitely pick up the next book, whether it's a sequel to this or like an interconnected thing. I don't really know, I haven't done my research, but either way I will definitely pick up more Lucy Jane Wood books, because this was the best cozy early autumn read. I loved it. Wait, I don't actually have that book on me at the minute. Wait, I'm gonna go fetch it. Give me a second. I picked up 2 packages, and one of the packages I wasn't allowed to open because that's my Secret Santa package. So but the other package was something that I had ordered, so I will have to wait for that Secret Santa package until all of us who are doing the Secret Santa thing in amongst my friends have received their books so that we can open them together. But mum opened and checked for me to make sure that I didn't see anything and that I got my book that I had ordered for myself, and that is fan service. And I know that this isn't a book that's on my September TBR, But it's only the 8th of September and I have already read, well, I've read 2 and DNF'd 1 book that was on my September TBR, and it is a little bit funny that I DNF'd the book that I picked for a book I think will be a 5-star prompt. So my book radar was a little bit off with that one, but nothing else that's on my September TBR is really drawing my eye at the minute. I am a little bit of a mood reader and I don't want to start reading something that I'm not in the mood for and not enjoy it simply because I'm not in the mood for it, simply because it wasn't the right time. The books that I have left are The Morrigan, which sounds really good, but I'm just not in the mood for it right now. The Unmaking of June Farrow, which I want to read, but I want to read it a bit later in September because I want it to be a little bit more fall vibes when I read that one. And then the last one is Passion Project, which is like a summary romance, but I'm not in the mood for a romance right this second for some reason. I'm just not feeling a rom-com romance at the moment. But I am taking a break from my TBR for a few days and reading one of these. Maybe I'm gonna let Instagram choose for me, my followers on Instagram choose between fan service and Explorer's Revenge. If I were to guess, I would guess that they choose fan service, but I might still just leave it up for them. So I will be back in a few days when I am picking up my next TBR book. Update, it's been like 3-4 days since I last spoke to you guys, and I've read 2 books in between my TBR picks, which was Fan Service, which I gave 4 stars. It was fun, it was quirky, a little bit odd, but like I had a fun time. And then I read Explorer's Revenge by K.A. Knight and I gave that 2 stars. And then last night I started our next TBR pick, which is The Unmaking of June Farrow, and I only got 34 pages in, so not far at all. And it's really just like a little bit of backstory, getting to know the main character, what's going on, like someone's passed away when we start the book, so it's kind of like the grief and the curse on these Farrow women and understanding how it works and all of that. June is our main character, and her mother disappeared when June was a baby and she was found crying in the street, so she's never known her mother, and her grandmother has just passed away from the same curse that is now starting to affect June, because the town that she lives in, everyone believes that the Farrow women, because her name is June Farrow, so the family tree is Farrow, that they are cursed because they like go mad and they see things, and June has started seeing things, and it's really interesting. I think I really like it, but that's it. That's the update. That's all she told, all she spoke. What's that saying? I don't know. Anyway, I'm gonna get to reading. So it's been, what's it been? 2 days? Like 36 hours since I started this. I started this the day before yesterday and I finished it yesterday. And my god, I have some thoughts. So, per usual. So this was and wasn't what I expected. It's hard to explain because I had an idea about what it was going to be going into it, and it kind of was that, but then it also at the same time wasn't, if that makes any sense whatsoever. But the first like 60 pages were kind of not difficult to get through, but they were a bit slow because we had all of this backstory, and it was like the backstory of this, like there were like 2 different mysteries, and at the same time the book starts just when our FMC's grandmother has passed away. This is all on the blurb, so these are no spoilers, but her grandmother has just passed away, and June Farrow, our FMC, is basically just waiting to go mad. And that was really all that I knew going into this. And then it's like 60 pages in, took a massive ton. The thing is, I never read the entire blurb. So that might have been, but it's a bit obscure in the blurb as well, because there are so many twists and turns in this, and like plot twists that I'm really not going to talk about, because you want that like oh my god moment. And there were so many like what moments for me, and I think that always when it's like parallel timelines, time travel kind of thing, I have a difficult time wrapping my mind around it, because it's so complicated with time travel. This book made a lot of sense though. Like I can't see how it would be a plot hole. If it is, I'm not smart enough to find it, because this was very well written with the like rules and everything. But I don't know, it's just time travel. It takes my mind a minute to understand when they're like talking about, you know, if you were here in this year and that person was there. Like, it's just, I'm just like, okay, I'm rolling with it. So it really picked up 60 pages in, and then I was hooked. Then I was sat and I was just flying through it, and I was obsessed and finished it in less than 24 hours. However, the last chapter, not the epilogue because there wasn't an epilogue, but like the very last chapter left me feeling a little bit unfinished. I felt like the last chapter was a little bit compressed and rushed. Now, I loved the story, I loved everything about it, but I wanted, after the like resolution in the end, that we got like a chapter with the moments immediately after that resolution, and then could have gotten the very last chapter that was like a little bit forward looking. So that's my own, the beginning was slow and that the ending felt a bit compressed and rushed. That's my only like criticism. Otherwise I'm obsessed with this. I loved it. I really want to read Spells for Forgetting now as well, because it's kind of the same vibe as this, and it's also by Adrienne Young, and the covers are kind of similar, so I do think that they are similar-esque in vibe, but I don't necessarily think that they're connected, but I don't know. Don't take my word on that. I ended up giving this 4 stars. A solid 4 stars. It's just that the beginning was slow and that the ending felt rushed, which is kind of ironic. That made it not a 5-star. But I cried. I shed a few tears, which doesn't happen all that often. There's not many books that I cry to where tears are actually like dripping down my cheek, which it did. So cheers to that. So we have 2 more, which is the Morrigan and Passion Project. I've had the loveliest like morning lunchtime thing where I've just had some breakfast, drank a cup of hot chocolate with cinnamon, and then I started my November spread in my reading journal, and I just started drawing, and I had on some like autumnal vibed music, and then it started raining, and I was like, oh, it's the perfect Sunday. So we're starting the Morrigan, which is a stunning cover, like a stunning book. I don't really know what this is, except like oh wait, there's a note on pronunciation, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages long. Do I have the brains for this, is the question. We'll find out. Let's jump into the Morrigan. It's been a long time since I updated you in this reading video, but we are gonna wrap it up right here. I just filmed my September wrap up actually, so I think that kind of puts the nail in the coffin of this reading my September TBR video. And I DNF'd the Raymond Scholar in the end, never picked it up again. I even unhauled it, that's how little I wanted to read it. And I didn't get around to picking up Passion Project just because there were other books and new releases that I wanted to prioritize and were more in the mood for. And that's okay, that happens sometimes. So if you didn't read your entire monthly TBR, that's okay. We're in this together. We will maybe do better in the next month, we might do worse, and that's okay either way. A TBR or monthly hopefuls is just like suggestions, you know? But I had a good time reading the majority of my TBR, and my favourite was definitely A Dance of Lies with Beautiful Things close follow-up. So yeah, that was that for this reading vlog. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Leave a like and subscribe if you liked it, and hopefully I will see you in the next one. As always, have a nice day, a nice weekend, a nice month. Be kind to each other and yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one, which I already said, but I'll say it again. Bye!